coverage you can count on. This is WJBF News Channel 6. Good morning, Augusta.
And good morning, everyone. I'm Mary Morrison. Welcome to the second hour of GMA.
Yeah, day 2 of Ice Storm 2014. I'm Chris Kane, and coverage you can count on begins with the ice storm that just won't go away. Frozen precipitation is causing a lot of problems across the CSRA this morning, including thousands of power outages. Here's a close look at those numbers, and they are staggering. Georgia Power has more than 117,000 people without power in our area alone. And Jefferson Energy Cooperative has more than 26,000 customers without power. SCE&G has nearly 60,000 people with no power. And Aiken Electric Cooperative has nearly 9,000 customers still waiting to have their power turned on. Georgia Power has more than 900 workers fighting this ice storm, and they say several hundred more are on standby. They are staging crews across the state, including Regency Mall, where we took you yesterday. Utility workers say they are prepared to handle this storm, and they are working around the clock to keep the lights on across the CSRA. And breaking news this morning, a shelter that was set up for people who lost power has lost power itself.
The May Park Community Center was being used as a place for folks to stay warm and get out of the storm, but now crews are telling people to stay home. News Channel 6's Julie Parisi has the story.
Mary and Chris, good morning. The scene down here in downtown Augusta this morning is icy and dangerous and like something out of a movie. Our drive down here this morning was awfully slow because of all the down trees and all the down power lines, and that's why Richmond County officials are urging folks to stay at home. I am outside what was the Richmond County shelter for those seeking comfort in this storm, but the folks that came here last night looking for shelter were forced to be moved after the power went out here. These power outages affecting quite a bit of people this morning. These people that were moved to the Red Cross building on Ellis Street, but officials are urging folks, if they're looking for shelter, to just shelter in place, shelter at home, because it's too dangerous to go outside. And my advice is the same: stay at home. These roads too dangerous to be traveling. Again, this shelter closed due to lack of power. There are other shelters open, including in Aiken County, in McDuffie County as well, and we'll of course keep you updated on these as we learn about more of them. But for now, Richmond County officials urging folks to stay at home, shelter in place inside. For now, Chris and Mary, back to you.
And now a big story for your safety. We're talking about those roads out there.
Now, while some of the ice started melting into sludge and slush yesterday, things are quite a different story this morning. Our very own Ashley Bridges is live out in our satellite garden, as we like to call it. Ashley, what do people need to know?
Well, Mary, one quick thing. I know for y'all, it's climate controlled in the studio, but out here we're getting a little extra dusting of snow, and what that's going to do is make things even more slippery, even after that slush and snow and sludge has all frozen back over. I want you to take a look at some of this video from last night of the roads. Even before the biggest dip in temperatures overnight, some of those roads were already refreezing into sheets of ice. And your biggest worry, it's not those visible sheets of ice, it's the things that you cannot see. We're talking about black ice, and it is out there. So we went to a South Carolina Highway patrolman to ask him, if you hit that kind of spot, what do you do?
If your vehicle starts to slide to the right, you turn your wheels to the right. And the same thing, if it starts to slide to the left, you turn your back and starts to slide to the left, you turn your wheels to the
But the best thing you can do, just stay at home. If you have power, if you can watch this newscast, you're in good shape. Stay home if you at all can. There are a lot of road closures out there. Walton Way closed, Calhoun Expressway closed, 520 going into South Carolina, really dangerous. Try and avoid that altogether. Stay home, stay safe, and stay warm. Live at Television Park, I'm Ashley Bridges, WJBF News Channel 6.
Ashley, thanks, and come in and warm up a little bit.
Yeah, and we can add Wrightsboro Road to that list as well, I think.
And a lot of the other side streets as well, so just be careful out there the next couple of days. Winter storm warning still in effect for the area. Ice storm warnings as well, but the system is rolling out. We'll have your full forecast up next.
And we're coming up now on 6:52 on a very cold morning.
Yeah, it's time to check in to see how the traffic is going with WGAC News Radio's Bill Botham.
Good morning again, everybody. Falling snow is now adding to the problems on the area roadways. Of course, bridges, interstate on and off ramps, and flyovers are icy and very dangerous. Trees and tree limbs are down throughout the CSRA, along with numerous power lines. And if the power is out in an area, that means the traffic signals are not working, so extra caution is needed at all intersections this morning. Also, dozens of area roads are closed, so be prepared for detours. At Fort Gordon, gates 1 and 5 are open, gates 2 and 3 are closed. For News Channel 6, I'm Bill Botham in the WGAC 24-hour news traffic and weather center.
Well, our Ice Storm 2014 coverage continues live from Television Park. The news never stops, and many of our co-workers made WJBF their home overnight.
Yeah, a bunch of them are still sleeping. News Channel 6's Kimberly Scott takes a look behind the scenes of the ice storm at Television Park.
While you're at home watching George, John, Jason, and Ed bring you weather updates, Television Park is all abuzz as Ice Storm 2014 is underway. Mary, Chris, and Ed are on your televisions every morning at 5 a.m. By 5 p.m. Wednesday afternoon, Ed was still at Channel 6.
I live on a big hill, and they've blocked off the high end and the low end of the hill, so I can't get into my apartment. So it's okay, though, because I planned accordingly just in case what happens. I got the whole fancy bed here. It's a big queen-size bed. So, and just bam.
Wow.
I know. And then I got and then I just got the big air mattress. So once this blows up, slips in, bam, I call this place home tonight.
Students are out of school on this icy day, so while parents work, their children find ways to stay busy. In an ice storm like this, it's all hands on deck, even if you have 4. These two beauties belong to Linda Granton, our 6 and 11 p.m. director. She wanted to make sure Buddy and Honey Bear were okay.
And I brought them in because I lost power right before I came to work. And so I don't have heat at home, so I thought, well, I'll bring them here. Why not?
When night falls, so will the temperatures, and along with Ed, many Channel 6ers opted to hunker down wherever they could. In a studio, in the sales office, even in the break room.
I actually live on a hill in West Augusta, so it was a little bit slippery to get up the hill, down the hill, to and from work, so I figured with the ice it was going to be a lot worse.
The break room is stocked with enough food and drinks to keep a staff this size satisfied, and we didn't forget about those who need to give their stomachs a little tender loving care. From wall-to-wall coverage to all paws on deck, the Channel 6 news team bringing you weather coverage you can count on. Kimberly Scott, WJBF News Channel 6.
That is so true, all of that. And even our general manager stopped by yesterday to make sure we had food to eat, which was so nice. And I want to thank my friend Marlene Johnson for allowing me to use her little blow-up mattress.
Yeah, and everyone wants to know where you got that bed, by the way.
And I will never tell.
Now at noon, situation critical. A local EMA official calls the ice storm aftermath a disaster.
Columbia County is one of the hardest areas hit by the ice storm. Check out this iPhone video from Spring Lake subdivision. That's on the Flowing Wells side. Emergency crews spent quite a few hours in this neighborhood trying to help residents deal with the massive damage from fallen trees. It's been a wild 24-hour stretch for Columbia County's fire and rescue team.
We've had all our vehicles while answering calls have had trees fall down, and we've had to cut our way out to even get to a call. We've had to go in and cut away for the sheriff's department to get out.
Champion's crew is working hard. At last check, 85% of the county residents in Columbia County are without power.
And it isn't just Spring Lakes that saw a lot of damage. In fact, that damage is widespread in Columbia County. EMA crews have been taking phone calls all night about downed power lines and trees.
Our Team 6 coverage continues with Mike Miller. He has more.
We are outside of the Emergency Operations Center in Evans, and right now about 85% of Columbia County is without power. And actually on our way into the county, there were several roads completely blocked off by trees and downed power lines. Now, we spoke with the Emergency Operations Director, Pam Tucker, and this is what she had to say about the status in the county.
Fuel is becoming an issue. We're starting to run out of fuel for our emergency response vehicles, so we're trying to get resources to truck in and bring some fuel for us, and that's going okay so far. Getting the fuel for the generators to keep our water plants and all of our other facilities up. We're on generator here at the EOC. We have to get topped off, so there's a whole lot of people doing a lot of things behind the scenes out around this county.
All schools and government offices will remain closed today, and tomorrow they will reopen on Monday. In Columbia County, Mike Miller, WJBF News Channel 6.
All right, Mike, thanks. It's also quite a shock on Washington Road when you drive by the front entrance of Augusta National Golf Club. I can't imagine that Magnolia Lane has ever looked like this. The famous road leading up to the clubhouse completely covered with fallen tree limbs and branches. The members only sign located off Washington Road unrecognizable. Who knows how long it will take to clean up the damaged trees on club grounds. Masters Week tees off in 2 months.
Walton Way, one of the many streets closed off to traffic in the area, and like everywhere else, there are branches, limbs, and even full trees down. Neighborhoods and roads off of Walton Way seeing a lot of damage and a lot of power lines down. The crew's working on clearing lines from Westlake Forest Drive in from Ohio, helping us out.
WJBF Live, Viper 6. The storm has left. Skies are clearing. Sunshine is back. You're watching WJBF News Channel 6, where you get your most accurate forecast first. Coming up tonight, 7 o'clock, mostly clear, chilly, winds west at 10, 35 miles an hour.
Right now on WJBF News Channel 6 at 5, people across the CSRA stranded. They're without power, but help is here. The state and local authorities, as well as their federal counterparts, know about us, and they're getting us out of the woods.
Plus, we take a look at when you can expect to have your power back. News Channel 6 at 5 starts right now.
Live from Television Park in high definition, coverage you can count on. This is WJBF News Channel 6 at 5.
Hey everybody, I'm Brad Means.
And I'm Jenny Montgomery. Thanks so much for staying with us during this winter storm.
Coverage you can count on kicks off with the latest on this ice storm, a system that passed through yesterday and left its mark all night and all day today. That is for sure. That is why we have a team covering it. Power outages right now being reported from all over the area. At last check, north of 100,000 people still in the dark. Unbelievable percentages of customers being without electricity right now. I'm talking about 80 to 85% of people in Columbia County, perhaps higher than that in Richmond County. So you're definitely not alone. If you don't have power, chances are your friends and neighbors don't have it either. Julie Parisi with an update for us.
I'll start with the bad news. If you're without power and watching this on a laptop or an iPhone right now, there's no word yet as to when your lights will come back on. But if it makes you feel any better, Georgia Power is also currently in the dark as the company is running on emergency generators as they try and get this mess all cleaned up. I talked to Georgia Power's vice president today about how his team responded to the storm and just what they're doing to get your lights back on.
This is about as bad as it gets.
A power company in the dark.
With an ice storm, you can work and work, and then overnight when the conditions get as bad as they do, you know, you really sometimes just have to start back over the next morning, and that's the situation here today.
Double the expected amount of crews called in, scrambling to restore power to thousands of customers.
We've been moving people into this area all night, and this morning actually have more people on the way today.
The storm was the monster most of us were hoping it wouldn't be.
As we went through the day yesterday, the conditions continued to deteriorate. Overnight, trees began falling. It became unsafe, really, for crews to be working. So as the nights went on, the numbers continued to get higher and higher.
A frustrating situation with no time frame for power restoration just yet.
We're having to go back out again and look at the areas that we looked at yesterday to reevaluate and see exactly what we have, what we've got to deal with.
But the biggest worry for customers is safety.
You have to be careful going outside. If you see downed power lines, please stay away from them. Please keep your kids and pets away from them.
Now, if you're without power and looking for a place to stay, there are shelters open across the two-state. We have a list of those on our website. Reporting in Augusta, I'm Julie Parisi, WJBF News Channel 6.
Residents were able to get out on those roads today thanks to the efforts of the Georgia National Guard. News Channel 6's Dee Griffin caught up with a team of them, and Dee is live in the satellite garden with the latest on what they're doing out in full force. Dee.
Yes, they were, Brad. The governor sent the Georgia National Guard to give us a much needed area. They pulled into our area in convoys of Humvees that were able to easily maneuver through the ice. It was amazing to see. Traveling in teams of 2, they were able to clear areas and get drivers moving sooner rather than later. They are trained to fight the enemy who threatens our country, but dozens of men and women from the U.S. Air Force are in the CSRA battling the remnants of Mother Nature's fury.
We're here to just help with any efforts that we can. Any streets are blocked or anyone needs to go somewhere, we're here to take them.
These are just two of an estimated 200 strike teams of first responders sent to areas devastated by the ice storm. Armed with chainsaws and determination, the teams are removing debris and clearing roadways.
I can tell you that our folks are responding in force. We actually have brought our folks up from Savannah, from the Savannah area, the 165th ASOS unit. They are combat veterans, literally, and they are now out here in the Augusta, Richmond County, Columbia County area, digging out, making sure that you all are taken care of.
Within a matter of minutes, the teams are able to move debris that would otherwise take days to remove due to the high demand for service in the area. Ron Hamilton has been in the Air Force for a little more than 2 years. While he's trained to protect our country, Hamilton says he's dedicated to serving its people regardless of the situation.
I'm proud. I'm honored.
And you know, all day people have been giving the thumbs up as the teams work, as they're driving by. They're saying, thank you for being here. Everyone is so happy to get this help.
In North Augusta, residents are saying Mother Nature used the winter storm to, quote, wage war on the neighborhoods there. And that's sort of an analogy we continue to hear in the aftermath. Ashley Bridges went there to check it out.
After the snow and ice came down from the sky, these limbs started coming down too, and those icicle limbs, they didn't go down alone. Looking to North Augusta, Mother Nature made a big mess.
All through the night, it's just been like a war zone here. It's just the constant popping and cracking.
As Mother Nature waged war with winter weather, she took down a lot of casualties, including this 160 years of history, pretty much as easily as you can say snap, crackle, pop.
You hear slow pop, 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 crash.
And those icicle-laden limbs, they didn't go down alone.
It took out our water as well, so we don't have electricity or water.
The view across the street, not much better. North Augusta's Living History Park in shambles. Even the trees no longer alive and well.
It's devastating to see the old trees, and the Living History Park right here is just constantly popping.
Although some of the history may be taken down, this homeowner says she isn't down and out because she says this brought out the best of the present.
But we have wonderful neighbors who are providing water for us, and we do have gas logs, so we're staying warm.
Neighbors helping neighbors, strangers helping strangers to get around those obstacles literally in their way. And something like a tree falling down in your yard may seem like an emergency, but I've been talking to public safety officials today, and they tell me they need those phone lines open for emergencies like medical emergencies or crimes. They have other numbers for things like debris and downed trees, and you can find those numbers online. For WJBF News Channel 6, I'm Ashley Bridges.
And with so many of you still without power tonight, a lot of you are watching on your telephones through our WJBF mobile app. At last check, there were over 126,000 Georgia Power customers in the dark, a similar number from SCE&G. Here's the problem. I know a lot of you are wondering exactly when the lights are going to come back on. Georgia Power says they don't exactly have a time frame for when all of the lights will be back on. About 2,000 emergency personnel are on the ground in our area, and Georgia Power just asking for your patience right now. There's nothing else you can really do. Fallen trees and those icy conditions kind of made it difficult for them to get to some of the locations to get the trees off the power lines and the fallen power lines. But the company does assure you they are prepared and they are getting to it as fast as they possibly can.
Full-on recovery mode. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jenny Montgomery.
And I'm Brad Means. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight. We're thankful that you can see or hear us right now.
Georgia Governor Nathan Deal made his way from Atlanta into the CSRA earlier this afternoon. He surveyed the area by helicopter with Mayor Dee Copenhaver and Columbia County Chairman Ron Cross. They say they're pleased to see those traffic flowing well.
That's encouraging. And tonight, a similar view of what the governor saw himself. Much closer to the ground, though. Look at that. A viewer bringing in this aerial footage for us of crews diligently working on power lines in the area. Governor Deal's main message, by the way, was that he cares about everybody here, and he's going to use all of Georgia's resources that he can to provide relief.
Well, I want them to know that we hadn't forgotten about them, that we knew that they were going to be in the part of this storm that was coming with the worst thing, which is ice, and that's what you've gotten the most of. And we're going to try to make sure that you get back up and running and normal as quickly as possible.
The story is playing out in a very similar fashion for so many of you out there tonight. Everybody looking at downed trees, even if it's just a few branches, it's in your yard, front and back. A lot of live and cold power lines scattered across sidewalks and roads. And this video is from Central Avenue on the west side of Augusta. A lot of the main arteries through Richmond County are closed to through traffic today. Roadways that are hills that are heavily wooded are really some of the worst spots. Emergency crews were hard at work in neighborhoods on and just off Walton Way today, for example. And most of those homes, if not all, are without power. And these images explain why.
Local deputies and emergency personnel have joined forces with the crews who have made their way into the area from other regions and other states. Richmond County Lieutenant Lewis Blanchard now with his department's response.
We've got about 80 people that are working with actually clearing roadways. We've deployed persons in groups of 4 with a chainsaw and a lead person in that group. And they're working throughout the entire county, South Augusta and West Augusta, clearing all the roadways to the best of our ability. Not necessarily in all the neighborhoods as of yet, but, all of the main roads.
Deputies are urging people to stay off the roads, and this is why. Take a look. This is the intersection of Wrightsboro Road and Troop Street. Deputies say neither driver involved stopped at the intersection because the traffic light was out. When traffic lights are out, be sure to treat the intersection as a 4-way stop. It was like an ice tornado, and now we start cleaning up what Old Man Winter knocked down. People in many Augusta neighborhoods say it was like a war zone with all the trees and limbs knocked down by the ice storm. Count on WJBF News Channel 6's senior reporter George Escala. He is live in our newsroom tonight. And George, the damage is pretty widespread.
Yeah, it sure is, and people in those neighborhoods heard it coming. Most sitting there without power, hearing all those crashing sounds in the darkness. By morning, we saw the damage. It's in our yards, on our property, and piled in our streets. Gould Hagler was starting to clean up. He had trees blocking the street in front of his house and limbs blocking his SUV.
I had my fingers crossed that maybe it wasn't as bad as I had imagined, but it was. My car, back window of my truck is completely smashed.
Trees were smashing down all over Augusta, from National Hills to Augusta National. That's a lot of limbs, like this one blocking Laurel Street at Central Avenue. What's this like doing for your getting around?
It's really hard, really hard.
City need to come get this.
Yes, they do need to come get this.
But the job's getting bigger. The trees continue to fall.
First half went down yesterday and they cleared it out, and then the rest fell this morning. So street's been closed most of the day.
To get all the lumber and the streets open, the city is putting 17 crews to work in 15 sections of town. Here a city crew takes on the trees down on Broad Street. The city has also contracted with private crews, each with their own section of town. The priority, get the limbs and branches out of the street and onto the right-of-way. Those will get cleaned up later. We're used to having our streets open in Augusta, but remember, this is a monumental ice storm. And even with the city crews and the private contractors, all of this isn't going to be gone overnight.
Whenever they can get here, we'll just be happy to see them, because I know it's a big city and they got a lot of other people to take care of.
The city doesn't have a timeline for when all the limbs will be moved off the streets or when those lumber piles will be picked up. Longer term, the city will also be coping with all those branches and limbs now in people's yards that are sure to be piling up on city streets as yardways.
Freezing rain is gone. Now the temperatures take a tumble. We'll have your forecast coming up.
I'm John Hart.
I'm Kimberly Scott.
It's 10 o'clock on the CW Augusta.
Now from Television Park, you're watching News Channel 6 at 10 on the CW Augusta.
And a good Thursday evening to you. The news at 10 begins with word from Georgia Power in just the last few minutes. Officials tell us 95% of all power will be back on by midnight Saturday night. I know it might not be what a lot of people want to hear, but they are saying by midnight Saturday night they should have all the lights back on.
Conditions are slowly improving, but there is still widespread damage. Now, this is what Walton Way looks like tonight after the ice took down numerous trees in the historic neighborhood. Crews have been out with chainsaws into the evening just to make the area passable.
This is one of to me, the most amazing sights today. Maybe the most famous thing in Augusta. The sign outside Augusta National, taken down by a tree that fell due to the ice. Tonight, the sign has been completely removed, though no major damage was reported to the club itself.
In Columbia County, officials tell us 31,000 people are still without power at this hour. All hotels are full without people or with people looking for somewhere warm to stay for the evening.
And in South Carolina, Governor Nikki Haley will visit Aiken County in the morning to survey the damage and take a look at efforts to get the power back on there. This is a 160-year-old tree you were looking at that fell in North Augusta during the storm.
And in McDuffie County, a viewer sent us this picture on Twitter of what the ice did there, destroying an awning of a gas station near the intersection of Highway 78 and I-20.
Well, after a snowy start this morning, the sunshine finally broke out with the clear skies are cooling rather rapidly across the region. Take a first look at our WJBF Live Viper 6. Here's the really good news. All the wintry weather is gone. Our big ice storm of 2014 is done. All the snow, sleet, cold rain moving across the mid-Atlantic states up into New England. Take a look at our current temperatures from west to east. You'll see Thompson at 37, Harlem, Appling 39, Hepzibah, Augusta 39, Martinez, you're at 41, Vaucluse, New Ellington 41 degrees. Aiken, you're not reporting just because of the ice, but you're also right around 40, 41 degrees. Outside, John Lynn. John, temperatures dropping tonight could cause some problems out there.
That is true. As you mentioned earlier, we had some good news earlier today. The sunshine broke out, allowed a lot of the ice accumulation on the trees and power lines, bridges and overpasses to melt, but as we head towards later on tonight during the overnight hours, as those temperatures drop below freezing, again on some of the secondary roads and some of the more rural roads, those roads in the neighborhoods, they're still going to have some black ice. A lot of roads are still closed due to trees and power lines being down and messes with the ice. So you can check on our website, WJBF.com, for road closing information. Early tomorrow morning, again, the major roads, the interstates like Washington Road, I-20, those roads are fine. It'll be the secondary roads that'll have the black ice problems as those temperatures continue to drop below freezing tonight for just a few hours. But once again, sunshine returns for tomorrow afternoon, and thankfully, temperatures warm up. George?
And John, I want to point out we had some folks giving John some grief for his Georgia attire.
And you know, I'll have to say this. We have no power at the house. I had to pick out my gear to come to work. This was shining in the closet, so I thought that was a sign, and then this just came along with it. So
had some folks giving you some grief on Twitter.
That's okay. That's
you
fine.
know what? Go Dogs. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
All right, John, appreciate it. Renetta Dubose is joining the conversation in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And Renetta, I want to show the folks a tweet that Augusta Mayor Deke Copenhaver sent out earlier today. It says that an inspiring part of our local response has been neighbors helping neighbors with food, shelter, and cleanup. No need to ask, folks.
Renetta, you found one such family tonight in North Augusta who's actually demonstrating those words. Joining us now from the...
Absolutely, Kim. I took a drive out to North Augusta, and there is a lot of damage there, especially for those residents in the Hammond Hills community. But in the midst of the low-hanging electrical lines and trees entirely blocking roads, emerged a group of folks restoring the community one branch at a time.
It looked like a war zone. The trees were down everywhere and power lines were down.
Gail Harville's home was next to unrecognizable after Ice Storm 2014 swept through the CSRA Wednesday, hitting North Augusta pretty hard.
I thought, oh gee, this is going to take a month of Sundays to get cleaned up.
A few minutes later, Gail saw a month's worth of rigorous gardening shortened into one day.
I said, Quentin, what are you doing? He said, Miss Gail, we're going to get your yard cleaned up for you.
All of the Camerlings, Quentin, Leslie, Olivia, Madeline, Isabella, and Copeland Hodges from down the street earned their Good Samaritan stripes all in a day's work.
I wanted to do it so that way the roads are safe and everything, so that way people can like get out of their driveways in case of emergency and everything.
I didn't want to do it.
These neighbors slice through fallen tree branches with other people in the Hammond Hills community. But what makes this family the best people to live next door to is all of the work they completed before attempting to attack their own yard.
Chainsaw work, it's raking, it's shoveling, it's I don't know, pulling wires together. Someone needed to borrow a car because their vehicle was busted last night through trees. They used the car to go pick up their extra car, and so had to get gas for a neighbor who ran out of fuel for their generator.
The helping hands left Harville without words.
Thank you doesn't seem like enough. I think we're going to have to take them out for supper one night for sure.
Now, the Camerlings, such amazing people, just moved to North Augusta a year ago from Houston, Texas, where they faced both Hurricanes Katrina and Ike, so they are no strangers to cleaning up damage. Live in the newsroom, Renetta Dubose, WJBF News Channel 6.
Good stuff, Renetta. Glad to have them in the CSRA.
That's right.
I'll tell you what, one of the things that's made this whole experience seem a lot more intimate is social media, whether it's on the WJBF News Channel 6 Facebook page or whether it's on our Twitter feed. You all have been incredible about letting us know what's going on in your communities. It's helped us keep in better touch when, let's face it, neither side, you nor us, could hit the streets and find out what was going on because it was just too dangerous. But the social media always up and running. And so I want Jake, our director, if you can zoom in, we'll run through the latest Facebook postings at WJBF News Channel 6. And if you don't like us yet, I encourage you to do so. And this comes from Linnell Williams. A big thank you to all those working so hard. Hear, hear. Hope you all are safe through the night. More thanks for our electric crews out there. And then some pretty pictures as well. There's a heart-shaped icicle. Pretty. Looks like some leaves helped form that right there. Thank you for that. And this from Karen Howard. Karen, hope nobody was in that car when those trees fell on it. These limbs can do so much damage, can't they? Aren't y'all just so tired of them? Can't wait till all of this is behind us. Somebody looking for a hotel for elderly parents out there, searching for a place to stay for the night. Enterprise Mill, a comment about their power situation there. A beautiful picture there from Kelly Waterfield. Kelly always sends us nice things. Another picture there, look at that. Just took normal looking trees and plants and just ruined them. Jeffrey Santino out of Barnwell, hope you're okay. Looks like a call to the insurance company is in order, but you know what, brother, you are not alone. A lot of people dealing with the same things, and a lot of insurance companies' telephones going to be ringing off the hook. Heard from a buddy of mine in the business today, and he said they're ready. They're ready to take those calls. Look at that there, more pictures of the storm damage. Is there school for Richmond County? Maybe we'll end on this one because of our time situation, but Sharon Hunter, let me tell you something, my friend. There is no school for Richmond County tomorrow, and even if there was, don't go, but there's not. Nobody's having school tomorrow, so happy Valentine's Day in advance. We'll get back to our school routine after all of this mess is cleared up. Jenny.
All right, Brad, thank you so much. With the winter storm knocking out power for large parts of the CSRA, many people ventured out in search of hot food and a warm place to stay for a while. Kim Scott hit the streets tonight to find out where they were headed and why.
As the ice melts, those without heat and food venture out to get what they need. Some traveled further than others.
We came all the way from Harlem and found the very last hotel room in Augusta so we could have power and get showers and eat.
Waiting in a warm car seems to beat waiting in a cold house, which is what Josette Price was doing before venturing out to find shelter or at the very least a generator.
I got off work at 4:30 and I've been riding around since 4:30 looking for a generator, a heater or something.
Georgia Power crews are working with visiting crews in order to get the power restored in many homes. From sunup to sundown, the crews are working 16 and even 18-hour shifts. It was heavy lifting for those over at Harry's Equipment Center. They received a shipment of generators Thursday evening. Bill Casey lost power at home, so he's hoping the generator will help for the next week until his power is restored.
We've been having candles and the fireplace. I keep it going all night long, but you have to be right there in the room where it's at.
Jeff McGahee runs Harry's Equipment and says the generators they're getting in are exactly what people need.
Basically, they can run their refrigerators, their freezers, they can run lights, they can run coffee makers, microwaves.
Whether you're looking for food, waiting for power, or picking up a generator, the lines and the bumper-to-bumper traffic should be an indication that you're not out there alone.
Harry's Equipment received a shipment of 92 generators tonight, and as of airtime, they were the only business in Augusta that still had some in stock.
Lots of sunshine to start our day. Clouds will increase, though. That'll be the only drawback, but it's better than 3 inches of ice, right? So partly sunny skies and a high of 54, maybe a sprinkle late, then sunny and mild for Saturday, 60s for Sunday and Monday, and by Wednesday we're peaking at 71 degrees.
And are we all, Jenny and George, off the hook for Valentine's Day gifts? Because there's no way we could have gotten to the store.
No,
I think Wise will understand.
I bought my cards though.
What, Jenny?
Yeah,
please stop.
when I did my little,
You ruined it.
my little shopping, I did do my
You buy them way
the
ahead
bread
of
and
time,
milk
don't you?
shopping. I did it.
You know, I would say actually on behalf of all the men of the CSRA, we're all off the hook.
We're all off the
We were
hook.
protecting and serving and feeding and hunting and gathering. We could not get cards.
You know what my neighbors are saying right now?
What?
They're saying, girl, you don't know what's in your driveway when you come back. The damage I'm about to go to, I've only seen pictures of it. Coming home now. You're going home.
Jenny's
Good
story
night.
continues
Good
tomorrow.
night.